Welcome back to Yoshi Entertainment, everybody. So today's video, this is gonna be a really serious and touchy topic to discuss. I mean, it's been going on for quite some time now, but so I'm a person that I do my best to do research before I say anything, and I always want to promote the truth, even though it's ugly or nobody wants to accept it or how horrible it is. I always want to promote the truth. Now, that being said, of course, somebody is probably going to be offended by something that I'm going to say during this video. And if you don't like it, then, you have to finish watching the video. You don't have to look at the video at all. If you know you're going to be triggered to begin with, then just don't watch the video. So this is just like a disclaimer, forewarning, because this is not like a happy subject. This is not a subject that you might not be triggered by. So I'm just going to jump right into it. Now, let me first start by saying that in this situation, honestly, both her and him have some serious accountability and some serious fault in the situation and with what they did. Let's just be honest, everybody knew what Brittany Renner was about, and PJ Washington still decided to get involved with her. So now she sat down and she did an interview, and she did explain some things about what's going on. Of course, I know people have been dragging her recently about the things that she did, how she got involved with PJ Washington and all that kind of stuff. And she did do an interview explaining some things, and from what I could understand, she was saying in so many words that these men that, are pursuing her, and women like her, light-skinned women, racially ambiguous women, and women who are biracial, they know what they're getting into before they approach these women. And then whenever things don't go their way, or they end up getting made to look like, a fool, they want to play the victim card. And it just doesn't make sense to her, And then the serious double standard that has been going on, like, the gender double standard with these kind of situations, it's just getting out of hand. Honestly, what she said, a lot of the things she said in that interview really did make a lot of sense. They were really, really legitimate points that she made. Again, I'm not condoning any of her actions, but anyways, one of the things she was saying, and this is what, I've kind of noticed, basically, so you can say what you want about her, what she did. Like, I'm not condoning the actions of either of them because both of them are grown adults. Although what she is saying, and what I will agree with her on this, is that women like Brittany Renner, they know that men like PJ Washington, let's just be honest, they know that these men don't care anything about them. They don't care about them. They don't love them. They don't want to love them. They don't want to care about them. All they want from them is sex. To screw them, as she said, I'm going to say it a little more, I'm not going to be as brash, but basically to screw them without a condom, to get them knocked up, try and, trap them. Like, she knows that those men don't care about her. They know that those men don't care about them. And they know that the only reason why they even approach them is because they're light skinned, or they're racially ambiguous, or they're biracial. It's all because they're a preference, literally. You know how, demoralizing that is, how offensive that is, to only be approached by somebody because you are their preference, and because, you're satisfying their fetish or their preference, or you are an outlet for their self-hatred. Now, let me stop and say this. There's a whole video I can make about our idea of what a preference is, which is really, for most of us, let's just be honest, a prejudice. But I'm not going to even go into that right now in this video. I'm not saying you can't have a type. I'm not saying you can't be attracted to a certain skin color, a certain skin shade, as long as that skin shade and skin color isn't the only reason why you decide to build a whole future or even be continually involved with that person. There's nothing wrong with being attracted to a person, physically. But if that's like the only reason why you would be involved with that person from the time you meet them until on, like, you don't want to be involved with them because of their personality or because you want to get to know them, that there's just like skin deep is the only reason why you want to be bothered with them, that is an issue. Again, it is the fact that Brittany Renner and women like her know that these men would not even approach them, wouldn't even give them a second thought if they did not look the way they did. Knowing that, in her mind and from her perspective, she's saying, I know all you want from me is to screw me. not to make me your wife, not to respect me, because any man that just comes up to a woman and just wants to basically screw her raw is like, that's so dishonorable and disrespectful. But you just coming up here and you just want to screw me because I satisfy your preference or your fetish, then why am I getting screwed over and not getting something out of it? Now, despite saying all of that, y'all are going to get tired of hearing me say this. I don't care. But I do not condone what she did. I do not condone that ideology. I do not condone those actions. And not to make her seem like a victim, but Brittany Renner and women like her honestly believe the reason why they have these mentalities is because they have been really screwed over and hurt many times in the past, and they feel like, well, if I'm gonna get screwed over and have been since day one, I might as well get something out of being screwed over. That doesn't make it right at all. At all. Although, when you really think about it, this is the mentality that a lot of people, not just Brittany Renner, not just women like her, not just women and men, a lot of people have that same mentality. Now, I'm not trying to make her seem like she was just so out to get him, because again, he was a grown man. Like, y'all can say what y'all want to. Y'all say, oh, she was this, she was that. But he was a grown man. He knew exactly what he was getting himself into. And he knew, okay, well, definitely I should not be screwing anybody's daughter without a condom, because, duh, you can get her pregnant. So he knew exactly what he was doing. Another thing that she brought up that I do want to point out, she was dropping a lot of names, and it was very legit, because she was saying that they were over here dragging her for being 6 years older than PJ Washington, when they have said nothing. There have been crickets about people's relationship, like Jay-Z and Beyonce, Lori Harvey, and whatever his name is, Michael B. Jordan. Crickets. Like, nobody has said anything. Nobody has dragged any of them for being older than the person who they're with. And that's where the serious double standard comes in. For example, so Lori Harvey is like 24 and Michael B. Jordan is 34. There's literally a 10-year gap between the two of them. And Beyonce is like, I think in her 40s. I think she's like 40, and Jay-Z is like 54 or something like that. There's basically I think it's like a 12 to 14 year age gap between them. And when you really think about it, nobody has really said anything about like the age gap, or at least not enough people have been making enough noise about it. And that's the unfortunate double standard, that when it's an older man with a younger woman, nobody really talking about it. But when it's an older woman with a younger man, it's usually blown out of proportion. People are still dragging her for the 6-year age gap, which is not that bad when you think about it. I guess it depends. But anyways, to me, 6 years is not nearly as bad as like 10 to 12. Okay, so whenever she brought up that point, I was like, okay, that, you know what, she does have a point right there. Now that point kind of loses its weight, because allegedly people were saying that she was messing around with him at like 18 or whatever. So of course it's not much to point out or acknowledge, but at least she didn't get pregnant for him until he was like in his early 20s. And despite any valid points that she had made, once again and again, that does not excuse any of the things that was done in this situation. That does not excuse any of the bad decisions that was made. No excuse for the bad behavior. Anyways, I said all that to say this. A lot of people are dragging her and blaming her for what is going on, but it takes two to tango. And a lot of times in these situations and relationships, one or both people will refuse to take accountability for the actions and the part that they had to play in this entire situation. Like I said before, I'm not condoning bad actions, bad behavior, although we have to admit that this young man, he made some bad decisions, and he's gonna have to reap the consequences like everybody else who makes bad decisions. Bottom line is, start making sure the people you get involved with actually want you for you, not just because of what you look like or for what you have. Now, if you are attracted to somebody because of those reasons, but then you decide to stay with them because you're like, well, hey, I like this person, I like who they are, aside from all the superficial reasons, and I want to get to know them as a person, I see something in them, I see us having a future together. That's much more acceptable than you just being with them for those superficial reasons only. And it's kind of like, well, if they didn't have that, they didn't look so good, if they weren't so rich, I wouldn't be bothered with them, they'd be nothing to me. These kinds of situations are why, if anybody ever asks me, and if anybody wants to know, I always tell people, I promote, getting to know people, taking out time to get to know somebody, know if y'all are going in the same direction, whether y'all want the same out of life, and I get it, sometimes people can trick people, but, do the best you can to get to know somebody, know what they want from you before you get deeply involved. Know what you're getting into before you get married to them. Know what you're getting into before you sleep with them. Because once you sleep with them, you've introduced a whole nother issue into the issue. And definitely, like, just, I don't know what it is with our generation being so overly sexualized. Like, we can't go X amount of time without sleeping with somebody, or we can't be involved with somebody without sleeping with them. Like, we can't have some kind of self control, or wait until marriage, or wait until we know this person actually does care about us and doesn't want to screw us over before we give them our body. A very, controversial part of ourselves, but y'all just need to wait. That's all I'm gonna say about that. Again, that's another video I can make, a whole video on that. We need to stop sleeping around with people and getting pregnant for people before we are sure. And we need to not have toxic mindsets. We need to not be involved with toxic people. Stop having these babies, because now this child, is growing up in the middle of all of this mess, and he's going to have to grow up in the middle of all this mess. Videos don't go away, okay? This stuff is going to be on the internet 10, 15 years from now. That boy is going to be a teenager, and he's going to get on YouTube, on the internet. He's going to see all of this. And that's not something a child should have to go through. We really need to be mindful with what we do, with how we act, with our behavior, everything, because again, it's not just about the two of them. It's about the child that they've brought into this world, who had no say, and like I said, now it's gonna have to grow up in the middle of all this mess. Y'all, this situation is a hot mess. This whole relationship, it's just a hot mess. But anyways, y'all tell me what y'all think in the comments. Tell me, I try to like maintain the truth. I try to get every story from more than one perspective. I don't believe in taking sides. I try to see things from both perspectives, if that's possible. Sometimes it's not. In this case, I pointed out what both sides I felt like did wrong, and that again, that both of them had accountability, and both of them did wrong. And let me put another point. So we really need to fix how we respond to things that have happened to us in the past and our trauma. I'm gonna just leave that there. Again, that's a third video. Like, I'm gonna get to it, I guess, one day. But anyways, y'all tell me what y'all think in the comments, how y'all feel. Be respectful, because you will be blocked or reported, or both, if you get in my comment section popping off at the mouth. Okay, so be respectful, be nice. Okay, y'all tell me what y'all think in the comments.